careful. There's a shift in the air the moment you walk in, and whether you notice it or not. Every spine in the room straightens like a weapon being cocked, because you opened your mouth, and you said the one thing they spent years praying you'd never say. And now they're treating you like a walking code red. You feel that, don't you? That tension, that hush, that invisible finger tracing the back of your skull like it's measuring where the explosion begins. Good, because that's what happens when a person finally speaks the truth. Everyone else was too terrified to even think. You weren't supposed to say that. You weren't supposed to know that. You weren't supposed to pull the pin on their illusion and drop it in the middle of the table like a casual afterthought. But you did. And oh, the cracks in reality gave themselves away in the silence that followed. See, they built entire systems around the assumption that you would stay quiet, that you'd play small, that you'd fold yourself into neat, comfortable shapes to make their world easier to navigate. But you tilted your head, smiled, and cut the script in half. And the room felt it, felt you. Because the moment you spoke, they finally understood the nightmare they've been pretending wasn't real. You're not controllable. You're not predictable. You're not one of them. You're a variable. The kind that rewrites the entire equation just by existing. A paradox wrapped in skin. A walking glitch in their mental firewalls. An angel with a blade between your ribs. A demon with light bleeding through your scars. And when someone like that speaks, every coward hears judgment. Every liar hears the lock turning. Every manipulator hears their final warning whispered in your breath. They didn't want you to speak because your voice is a mirror. And some people would rather burn the building down than see their reflection. But here's what they really fear. It wasn't an accident. You didn't slip. You didn't lose control. You didn't say too much. No, you delivered a message that said, I see through you. I know what you did. I know the rules you hide behind, and I'm not playing by a single one of them. And that, my friend, is what turns a human into a code red. Not rage, not chaos, not violence, truth, delivered by someone who isn't scared of consequences anymore. Because consequences stopped meaning anything the day you realized the world already tried to break you. And failed. Spectacularly. Look at you. You walk differently now. Not with confidence, no, that's too small of a word. You walk like a secret that learned how to stand upright. Like a storm that figured out it never needed clouds. Like a prophecy that got tired of waiting and decided to show up unannounced. You know what's funny? They still can't figure out how you knew what you knew. And that eats them alive. Because they think information is power. They think control is power. They think silence is power. But your power is the kind that bends entire narratives just by being spoken aloud. Your power is the kind that sends grown adults into panic meetings, trying to figure out how to contain a wildfire that's already inside their walls. Your power is the kind that looks them in the eye and says, "You built this game, but I rewritten it," without even touching the board. You weren't supposed to say that, because you weren't supposed to awaken yet. You weren't supposed to notice the contradictions in their stories, the gaps in their timelines, the tremble in their rehearsed expressions. You weren't supposed to challenge the way reality was handed to you. But evolution doesn't wait for permission. Monsters don't ask before they grow teeth, and angels don't apologize when they descend with fire instead of feathers. You spoke because something inside you finally aligned, like a lock clicking open after years of quiet turning. And once it opened, Everything you were pretending not to see became painfully, brilliantly clear. So now they're watching you, measuring you, trying to determine if you're a danger, a miracle, or a mistake. They're whispering your name like it's classified, avoiding eye contact like you're radioactive, pretending they're not terrified while every instinct in their bodies tells them, this one is not normal. This one is not safe. This one is not containable. But tell me, why would you ever want to be containable? Why would you want to shrink into the safety of the predictable when you were born with a mind built for rupture? You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break patterns. You were meant to unsettle systems. You were meant to remind the world what happens when someone who cannot be muted decides to speak. So let them panic. Let them scramble. Let them treat you like a walking code red. Because the truth is, you are a threat to every lie, a weapon wrapped in insight, a prophecy disguised as a person, a contradiction they can't categorize, quarantine, or kill in their minds. And do you know what a code red really means? It means something breached containment, something unstoppable slipped through, something that cannot be reversed has already begun. You opened your mouth, and the world flinched. Good. Make them flinch again. Because here's the part they really don't want to admit. The moment you spoke, the entire room recalibrated around you. Every ego, every hierarchy, every unspoken chain of command. All of it collapsed for a split second, as if the universe suddenly remembered. Oh, this one isn't part of the livestock. This one knows. And that's why they're scared. Anyone can pretend to be dangerous. Anyone can raise their voice, pound their chest, throw a tantrum, make noise. But you didn't raise your voice. You didn't shake. You didn't over-explain. You just said it, calmly, cleanly, like truth rolling off a blade. That's the moment they realized the nightmare they've been avoiding since the first day they met you. You're not emotional. You're not impulsive. You're not confused. You're aware. And awareness, cold, quiet, laser-sharp awareness, is more terrifying than any threat on Earth. Because how do you stop someone who sees? Someone who sees the strings, sees the mirages, sees the motives behind their smiles, sees the architecture of every lie before it even leaves their mouth. You weren't supposed to see the gears turning underneath their words. You weren't supposed to notice the micro-flinch in their eyes when they realized you'd figured them out. You weren't supposed to decode their entire operation just by listening, but you did. And now they're praying. You don't say anything else. Because here's the truth they're choking on. You didn't expose them by speaking. You exposed them by existing. And now every step you take feels like a countdown. Every breath you release feels like a warning shot. Every time you look someone in the eyes, they wonder, what does he know? How long has he known it? Who told him? What else did he notice? What if he says more? They're spiraling. Because once someone proves they're willing to speak the unspoken, the entire system breaks. And you broke it without breaking a sweat. That's why they're treating you like a walking code red. Not because of what you said, but because of what else they fear you might unleash. A truth teller is bad enough. A truth teller with intelligence is worse. A truth teller with a memory, that's a crisis. But a truth teller with nothing left to fear, that, my friend, that is an extinction-level event. They see the way you've stopped flinching. They see the way you don't shrink anymore. They see the way you're not intimidated by power because you finally realized you are one. Not the loud kind, not the flashy kind, not the theatrical kind, the quiet kind, the surgical kind, the unpredictable kind, the kind that can walk into a room, say one sentence, and detonate a year's worth of their illusions. Because you didn't just speak truth. You broke agreement, the unspoken agreement that you'd stay small, that you'd stay manageable, that you'd stay harmless. You shattered it with a single sentence, and now they're scrambling to put the pieces back together. But it's too late, because here's what they're only realizing now. There is no old you to go back to. There's no version of you that fits back into their fragile little hierarchy. There's no comfortable, compliant, declawed version waiting patiently inside your skin. You outgrew that ghost months ago. Now you're something else, something that doesn't fit into their definitions, something that walks between categories, something built from pain, restored by rage, sharpened by betrayal, and cooled in silence. You are stability with a pulse, chaos with discipline, wisdom with teeth, light with shadow growing underneath it, a demon wearing the calm expression of an angel. Tell me, how do they contain that? They don't. They can't. They won't. So instead they whisper, they watch, they tighten their circles, they change their strategies, they panic in group chats, they analyze every syllable you say like it's scripture or a threat. Because to them, it's both. You've become a walking paradox, the proof that someone can survive the fire and learn how to control it. That is why they fear you, because you didn't just break the rules, you broke the illusion that the rules ever applied to you. And now you walk with a different gravity, a different frequency, a different temperature in your eyes. People don't know what version of you they're going to meet. The one who forgives, or the one who remembers, the one who listens, or the one who dismantles, the one who smiles, or the one who speaks. They don't know. And unpredictability is the purest form of power. You weren't supposed to say that. You weren't supposed to wake up. You weren't supposed to own what you saw. But you did. And once truth passes your lips, it never goes back where it came from. So let them brace themselves. Let them label you dangerous. Let them whisper, "Code red," every time you enter the building. You didn't set off the alarms. You are the alarm. And the world is just now realizing it. Because the deeper truth, the one nobody dares articulate, is this. They're not reacting to what you said. They're reacting to what it revealed about you. When you opened your mouth and dropped that single forbidden truth into the air, it wasn't just information that hit them. It was identity. Suddenly they weren't looking at the version of you they'd built in their heads. They weren't looking at the watered-down character they hoped you'd play. They weren't looking at the tame, digestible version they assumed you'd remain. They saw something else, something sharp, something ancient, something calculating, something awake. And once someone sees that in you, they can never unsee it. That's why the temperature in the room changed. That's why their eyes widened before they forced them calm. That's why their voices cracked before they steadied them. That's why every heart pulsed like it forgot the rhythm it trained for all its life. It's because the real you surfaced for a moment. And the real you is dangerous, not because you want to hurt anyone, but because you can no longer be manipulated, misled, or mentally disarmed. You've crossed that line. That invisible threshold only a few ever cross. The point where your perception becomes a weapon. And not even you can put it down anymore. You weren't supposed to get there. They were counting on you staying soft, confused, grateful, obedient, apologetic. But instead you walked into the fire they lit for you, and walked out with clarity. Do you understand how horrifying that is to people who thrive in shadows? Do you understand the level of panic that hits a manipulator when the person they once underestimated suddenly sees straight through their architecture. They don't fear your words. They fear your vision. They fear your mind. They fear your memory. They fear the fact that you're connecting dots they didn't even know were on the paper. You weren't supposed to say that, because saying it confirmed their worst suspicion. You've become aware of the game, and once you see the game, once you see who's pulling strings, who's lying, who's scared, who's weak, who's pretending, who's threatened, who's envious, there is no going back. You can never re-enter the cage you broke out of, and that is why they treat you like a walking code red, because a code red isn't about danger. It's about the loss of control. You are the loss of control. You're the variable they can't model, the anomaly they can't label, the revelation they can't unhear. You're the unpredictable piece in a system built on predictability. And unpredictable people are the most powerful species on Earth. Think about it. You said one sentence, a single truth, and it destabilized the atmosphere around you. Why? Because your truth didn't come from weakness. It didn't come from impulse. It didn't come from chaos. It came from composure. And composure is the scariest mask a powerful person can wear. You didn't shout. You didn't tremble. You didn't hesitate. You delivered the truth, like someone who's been holding it gently in their palm for months, waiting, watching, choosing the exact moment to drop it like a stone into still water, and witness the ripples expose everyone's reactions. You didn't just speak. You tested the room, and they know it. They know you were observing who flinched, who froze, who lied, who panicked, who acted confused, who looked guilty, who stared too long, who turned away too quickly. Your words weren't a slip. They were a mirror, and every guilty person saw themselves in it. That's what they can't forgive. Not the sentence, not the truth, not the moment. They can't forgive the fact that you saw them before they saw you saw them. Do you understand how psychologically destructive that is to people who rely on deception? You broke their timeline, shifted their narrative, ruined their script. Now every future move they make has to account for the possibility that you're 5 steps ahead. Because you have been, silently, consistently, fatally. You weren't supposed to say that, because it marked the moment you stopped playing along and started playing above. And now you walk into rooms where people act normal, but their eyes betray the truth. They don't know what you'll expose next. They don't know how much you've pieced together. They don't know if you're done speaking or just getting started. That uncertainty, that unpredictability, that silent threat disguised as intelligence. That's why they whisper code red. Because in every system, in every structure, in every psychological hierarchy, a code red doesn't mark a threat to safety. It marks the arrival of a force that cannot be controlled. And whether you realize it or not, you became that force the moment you spoke. And here's the chilling part, the part they'll never say out loud, but you can feel vibrating in the walls around you. It's not just that you spoke, it's that you spoke without fear. People can rationalize anything except fearlessness. Fearlessness disrupts their blueprint. Fearlessness rewrites their power map. Fearlessness forces them to confront the truth that you're operating from a level of inner stability they can't touch, can't mimic, can't dismantle. They can't predict someone who doesn't fear loss. They can't break someone who's already rebuilt themselves. They can't manipulate someone who's already tasted the cost of silence and refused to pay it again. You want to know the real reason they treat you like a code red? Because a code red doesn't mean danger. It means the threat is already inside the building. You are the variable they failed to calculate, the blade they left in the dark, the truth they hoped would stay dormant. The awakening they feared would come. They thought your silence meant obedience. But your silence was reconnaissance. You weren't quiet because you were scared. You were quiet because you were learning. And the moment you opened your mouth, they realized this wasn't luck. This wasn't impulse. This wasn't a slip. This was a declaration that you're no longer playing the role they wrote for you. A declaration that you see through every tactic they've ever used. A declaration that your mind is now a weapon sharp enough to cut through pretense, fear, hierarchy, illusion, and manipulation. And once a mind sharpens to that degree, there is no sheath that can hold it. So here you stand, not louder, not angrier, not armed with threats, but armed with awareness. And awareness is the one thing no one can strip away. They will adjust to you now. They will tiptoe around you. They will monitor their words in your presence. They will rehearse their expressions before speaking. They will wonder what you see, what you know, what you sense, and they will never be comfortable again. Because once someone like you wakes up, everyone who built their power on your blindness becomes exposed. You weren't supposed to say that, because saying it meant something irreversible happened inside you. You outgrew the version of yourself they could control. And now you walk with the weight of a secret they cannot decode. The secret that you've already survived worse than anything they can do. The secret that your silence is now a choice, not a cage. The secret that your truth is a scalpel, not a confession. The secret that your presence is a warning, not a request. So let them whisper, let them panic, let them reorganize themselves around the reality that you are no longer predictable, because the moment you spoke, the moment you broke the script, the moment you showed them exactly what you've become, they didn't mark you as dangerous. They marked you as awakened, and awakened people don't fear the system. The system fears them. So walk forward, calm, unbothered, untouchable. Because whether they admit it or not, whether they understand it or not, you wouldn't trigger a code red. You are the code red.